Welcome to Tangaza University, where we nurture minds, transform lives, and empower students to build better futures. Picture students joining Tangaza University for the first time, filled with hope, potential, and the determination to make a difference in the world. Like many of them, they are eager to excel, but soon they encounter challenges, limited access to essential resources and conducive study spaces, obstacles that threaten to hold them back from reaching their full potential. This is why Tangaza University, for decades, has been a beacon of knowledge, quality service, and leadership for thousands of students across Africa. We empower students to lead with intellect, compassion, and a strong sense of purpose. But today, more than ever, as our student population grows, they urgently need a dynamic space that fosters their full potential, where knowledge is shared, innovation thrives, and they get the tools to succeed academically and personally. This is where your support becomes crucial.
We look forward to developing the university, and one of the things that are lined up is the construction of the Resource and Student Center. This building is going to be a big building with an opportunity to accommodate the library, both books as well as online library resources. And definitely it's going to be a milestone also for the university. It's going to help us deliver to our mandate as a university. It's going to have the library. It's going to have other facilities like rooms for consultation for professors. It's going to have an ultra-modern conference center. It's going to have other facilities that the university is in need of as we...
It's a disability-friendly environment, both physical environment and learning environment. We have a plan to expand through building a resource center, and in this resource center we want to designate a space for persons with disability where they will be having an incubation, startups and entrepreneurial approaches, so that they not only rely on employment, but when they leave Tangaza, they will be able to have their own businesses and position themselves in the employment world. And this will not only be for Tangaza students, but realize this dream because it will have impactful in the lives of persons with disability.
It will include a wellness center to cater for the psychological well-being of the students in a very peaceful and conducive atmosphere for center, a place for a modern cafeteria, also to cater for the restoration of...
Through this project, Tangaza University reaffirms its unwavering commitment to its mission of shaping leaders who will drive positive change and development across Africa and beyond. Your support is a testament to this commitment. Your support is necessary to make this noble project a reality. You have a unique opportunity to be part of Tangaza Africa. Your donation will go directly towards building the future for thousands of young minds. This is your investment in developing capable...
I can appeal to everyone.
To NCBA Bank, account name Tangaza University Development Bank, account name Tangaza University Development, account number 1085050063, the M-Pesa pay bill, the business number 880100. Contact us at resourcemobilization@tangaza.ac.ke. Donate to educate, transform lives.
here with us should be coming in now. So I want to take this opportunity to welcome you all, and let us arise so that we can welcome our guest of honor. As soon as I am still looking, just wait a little bit. Nyaga, can you confirm for me? Oh, you've seen them. Okay, okay. So we welcome them. Kindly let us arise to welcome the Vice Chancellor and our guest of honor, Honorable Kia Mtata, upon which we will begin our program by singing the national anthem. Let us clap for them. Welcome. Welcome our Vice Chancellor. Welcome. Karibu, karibu, karibu. Our Director. Our guest of honor is here, Terry. Welcome, please. Our DVC for academics, Dr. Kitonga, Karibu. Welcome, please come up. Our guest speaker, Dr. Dikil, please welcome. Our Dean, Nicholas, please come up. Come on, take a place. May we be led by singing the national anthem as we remain upstanding.
our guest of honor, our VC, the DVCs, our director, all protocols observed. Our dear brothers and sisters, ladies and gentlemen, allow me to begin with a quotation from Proverbs chapter 18, verse 15, which says, "The heart of the discerning acquires knowledge, for the ears of the wise seek it." In the name of the Father, and of the Son, and of the Holy Spirit. God the Father, the Son, and the Holy Spirit. Eternal wisdom, source of truth and wisdom and meaning. We gather here in pursuit of understanding, to question, to reason, and to learn. Grant us the courage to doubt with humility, the clarity to seek with sincerity, and the grace to listen with open hearts. May our dialogue be guided by respect, our disagreements shaped by kindness, and our words carry the weight of integrity. In this shared space of inquiry, may we honor thinkers who came before us, illuminate the mysteries that lie ahead of us, and deepen our connection to the world, to one another, and the infinite. May we find and the unity of our shared humanity. In the spirit of wisdom, we start with you, Lord. Walk with us and inspire our hearts. We ask all this through Christ our Lord. In the name of the Father, and of the Son, and of the Holy Spirit.
May we take our seats. And now I take this opportunity to welcome the Dean for the School of Theology in Tangaza, which houses the Institute of Philosophy, to give us a welcome.
Thank you.
Our Vice Chancellor, Professor Patrick Mwania, the DVC Academics, Research and Student Affairs, Dr. Daniel Gitonga, our keynote speaker today, Honorable Senator Okiya Omtata, the other guest speakers, Dr. Patrick Dikir and Professor Michael Ntabo, the lecturers, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, good morning. I take this opportunity to welcome everybody on behalf of the School of Theology in Tangaza University. And I want to thank particularly the committee that prepared this symposium, led by the director of the Institute of Philosophy, Dr. Dennis Etriga, and more so of having chosen the theme for the 4th International Philosophy Day Symposium 2025, University Education and Emergent Contemporary Challenges. It is on this regard that I would also want to invite all of us to feel at home, more so as we listen to our speakers. Ladies and gentlemen, my dear sisters and brothers, this occasion offers us an opportunity to exchange our ideas, to interact, and also to network. So let us all get ready and open our hearts, our minds, to listen to our great and distinguished speakers today. Feel most welcome. Karibuni sana sana. Thank you.
One clap for the Dean. Thank you. We have begun late, but you can see we are moving very fast. We'll be able to recover. I take this opportunity now to welcome our Deputy Vice Chancellor for Academics and Research, Dr. Kitonga, who will give us some opening remarks. And after that, I will request you, as you complete your opening remarks, also to take the opportunity to invite our Vice Chancellor, who will in turn invite the guest of honor. Thank you.
Thank you, Father Dominic, and good morning. Good morning. Yes, I know I'm greeting philosophers, and philosophers, they are philosophizing, they are critically thinking and waiting to engage the minds, and that's why maybe the greeting is not of any essence. Anyway, as you have been introduced, was introduced, I'm Dr. Daniel Kitonga. I'm the DVC, Academics, Research, and Student Affairs. And when the Director of Philosophy informed me about this symposium, and it is a day of philosophy, Tangaza University International Philosophy Day. I went back a bit to check, why are we celebrating the Philosophy Day today? And in the records, I found out that a Philosophy Day is an occasion dedicated to reflecting on the nature of philosophy and its relevance to humanity. And that really made me reflect about my own relationship. And when we are together and we have a guest of honor who has reciprocated the invitation to come and grace this occasion, and I would like on my own behalf to thank you for coming to grace this Philosophy Day of Tangaza University. Feel very welcome. The other speakers, Professor Michael Ntabo and Dr. Dr. Patrick Dikir, you are also most welcome to Tangaza. Tangaza is not new to you. In the last Philosophy Day, you are here. And in fact, there will be an occasion just to celebrate the book that as a proceeding of that occasion. So I want to encourage all of us, as it was mentioned by the Dean, to use this time fruitfully, to encourage critical thinking among ourselves, and that critical thinking within the theme of university education and emergent contemporary challenges. We all know the challenges that we are facing. We don't need to be reminded, but we need to think about those challenges and come up with sustainable solutions. In that way, then the university will be relevant in the society. Otherwise, if things continue the way they are, and we are there to provide that solution, then we will not be doing the service. And I want to pick a quote by John Stuart Mill that reminds us that genius can only breathe freely in an atmosphere of freedom. And in this context, universities as bastions of freedom and inquiry must be adaptable and courageous, embrace uncertainty and change to illuminate paths forward in a tumultuous world. This is what we have gathered today in different topics, articles, to discuss how we can provide solutions. I welcome you to Tangaza University. Much welcome and enjoy the day. Thank you so much, the MC. I was also asked to invite our VC, and it is my humble honor and pleasure to welcome Reverend Professor Patrick Mwanya to address this gathering and to declare this symposium duly open so that we can start the thinking, the discussion, and so forth. Welcome, Father. A clap as he comes.
So our DVC, Academics, Research and Student Affairs, our Dean of the School of Theology, Reverend Dr. Nicholas Obiero, Director of the Institute of Philosophy, Dr. Triga, lecturers, invited guests, ladies and gentlemen, our students in the Department of Philosophy, and in a very special way, our keynote speaker for today, Honorable Okia Mtata, the Senator. God is good, and all the time. Good morning, everyone. So I take this opportunity to welcome each and every one of you to Tangaza University. Tangaza University is very happy today, the administration, to welcome you, and is honored to have yet another opportunity to engage in a very pertinent topic today, the topic of the conference this morning. And in a very special way, once again, we are very happy and honored to have him having accepted our invitation, Honorable Okia Mtata, who will be our keynote speaker, plus the other speakers who have prepared on different topics, and they're going to engage us today. Honorable Sir, Tangaza is a Catholic faith-based institution which is founded on a strong Catholic educational ethos. And as you well know, the Catholic Church has been a big player and continues to play this indispensable role in the evolution and configuration of education system in our country, Kenya. We are proud as an institution to be able to stand with others in this education sector and other global players to be able to equip our learners, those who come to Tangaza, with the requisite skills and competencies to be transformative leaders who will be agent of change and transformation, not only in our country, Kenya, but in the global society. This role, however, is not always easy and self-evident, and therefore the reason why a conference like this, discussing pertinent issues affecting education, is very important. The theme of this Philosophy International Conference, University Education and Emergent Contemporary Challenges, a philosophical outlook, is indeed relevant and timely, as it resonates and aligns very well with the vision and mission of our University Tangaza, which is to form ethical servant leaders for church and society through offering quality education, creation of new knowledge through research, and community outreach. The theme is relevant, and relevant especially for us who are in the leadership of higher education, because we are daily, constantly challenged to keep on verifying the quality and relevance of higher education that we offer. Indeed, the education sector in Kenya and even globally is faced with myriads of unprecedented challenges. I wish to mention here two of them without any intention to develop them in their depth and without watering down what is to come from the presenters of today. Ladies and gentlemen, I think one of the challenges that the education sector is facing today, and it could be one of the challenges that we are discussing today, is the gap that exists between the curricula that we have in our higher institutions and the praxis out there. The gap between the education we give, the theoretical bit of it, and the industry. And I think many times this has been discussed. How do we link what we teach? How do we link what universities offer and what the world and the industry out there is looking for? And I think that is a big challenge that is not only affecting education sector here in Kenya, but globally is a question. How do we become relevant? How do we bridge the disconnect that exists between the theory taught in class and the praxis out there? And I hope a conference like this may be able to address a challenge like that. And the second challenge that I would want to mention just by passing is the challenge of lack of ethical leaders in our world, in our country, and in our society. Each and every day, we are complaining about people who have gone through university education, they are learned, but they are not ethical in their praxis. How can education, how can our philosophical conversation today help us also bridge that gap? There has been a clip that has been going around where universities we've been challenged and told, is it true that we are training people who are incompetent, people who end up being not ethical leaders, unable to practice ethical leadership out there once they leave the university? And the challenge is, if most of the court cases we have, if most of the most corrupt people we have, if most of the people who are supposed to be leaders out there, ethical leaders, are not what they are, and we keep on educating and enrolling students in universities, could it be true that in the future we are going to have very many unethical leaders out there? And I believe that this is a big challenge that we all have to look at and not to ignore. Ladies and gentlemen, once again, most welcome to Tangaza and welcome to this very, very important topical issue that we are going to be taken through our presenters today. And I believe that we have been able to bring able presenters to help us in this discussion today. Welcome to this conversation, and especially our students in the Department of Philosophy. And congratulations to the Institute of Philosophy for having prepared for this symposium and for having come up with this very relevant and timely topic. I wish each one of us a fruitful conversation, discussion today. As I come to the end, one of my tasks I had been asked to is to launch the proceedings of the last year's international conference, which was, I guess, the fourth, and now we have either, I think, the fourth. And before I do that, I would want to invite Father Dominic to say something about that book that has been published. Before we launch it, it's good we understand and hear about the content. Welcome.
Thank you, Reverend Patrick. So the School of Philosophy, not School of Philosophy, the Institute of Philosophy has decided to be publishing all the proceedings for this symposium that we have. We have already published some. The year before last year, that is 2023, we had the conference on Kwaswiredu, you remember. So now the publication is out, and we are happy that we have our Vice Chancellor here to launch the book. The one that we did last year on artificial intelligence is almost ready, and we should be also launching it very soon. how do we do it? Dennis, I can maybe invite Dennis and the DVC academic. So you can present the book to the Vice Chancellor and the Deputy Vice Chancellor. And he will open the book and display it to us. It's a very guarded property. It's an intellectual property, as you can see. What do you want to say? Makofi at last. Oh, the book is here. Oh, the book is here. The book is here. Beautiful. What do you see, Vice Chancellor?
Yes, the book is Kwasi Wiredu Thoughts, and is prefaced by Mugishi Dennis Etriga, and also edited by Mugishi Dennis Etriga, and the publisher is Dumuni Research. Can we clap for the initiative? And we congratulate also the Institute of Philosophy for leading, for showing us the way. We used to say that philosophy is the handmaid of theology, but I think now we should be saying philosophy is the handmaid of academia. So all of us at Tangaza, we are challenged by the Institute of Philosophy to move also towards publication and research. Thank you so much, Dr. Etriga, for taking the lead. And with those few remarks now, I wish to declare this International Philosophy Conference 2024-2025 academic year officially opened.
Thank you so much, our beloved Vice Chancellor, for that. We have the book here. It's a nice book, beautiful, both physically and intellectually when you open it. And let me say that this is a good opportunity for upcoming researchers. You can use this opportunity to start publishing. Just write a paper, and then once it is given a green light by Dr. Ochieng, then you can have your publication start. It's 18 euros, which comes to around 2,000 Kenya shillings, and that's okay. That is worth it for such a product. Before our Vice Chancellor leaves the stage, I'd like now to give him this opportunity to formally and officially welcome our guest of honor, who is the keynote speaker at the same time. Thank you.
Thank you. So allow me to take the honor and pleasure to welcome our keynote speaker for today, this philosophical conference. Of course, acknowledging and realizing that it's not easy in the midst of a lot of things and duties that he has found time to come and spend this day with us today. Honorable, most welcome once again to Tangaza. We are happy for accepting our invitation. And we are, of course, very happy for the role that you play in our country, Kenya, in society, and especially ensuring that we have a fair, just system in Kenya, and we also have, you do everything to make sure that to help us respect the rule of law. We know you and we know what you do, and being a Catholic, and we are a Catholic institution, we are very happy and proud of your work, and we welcome you to Tangaza to share with us some of these insights that are also going to help us join in your footsteps in ensuring that we have a just society and a fair rule of law for everyone to benefit in our country. Karibu sana.
Good morning. I recognize all the protocols. Reverend Father Professor and other distinguished academics here, the University Administrator, and also the student fraternity and the other participants. I'm most grateful to you for honoring me with this occasion, and I'm happy that I have been able to make it. So, being invited to make a keynote statement is a very, very strong vote of confidence in somebody, and it's also a challenge. So when I received the invitation to give the keynote address at this very important event today, whose theme is University Education and Emergent Contemporary Challenges, a philosophical outlook, I cautiously wondered loudly to myself, why me? Given my understanding that, broadly speaking, a philosophical outlook of something is a person's fundamental beliefs about or overall vision of or attitude towards the said thing, my mind raced to the book of Genesis, where Moses, the prophet of Yah, who was chosen to lead the Israelites out of Egypt, expressing a sense of inadequacy, questions why God, the Almighty, had chosen him for such a difficult task. Equally, I asked myself, why me? When the country and even the world is so full of better placed individuals to make the keynote address at this very important occasion. Why would my fundamental beliefs about or overall vision of or attitude towards university education and emergent contemporary challenges matter to anybody, let alone to a distinguished university audience? And why was the topic so broad, even open-ended in terms of region? Emergent challenges to university education were in Kenya, East Africa, Africa, Polynesia, the Americas, everywhere, nowhere. I didn't know where to start. Finding no answer to my questions, I made my already grave situation worse by attempting desktop research on the topic. The answers I found: the internet rendering universities redundant in the world, artificial intelligence, inadequate financial resources affecting the successful implementation of curriculum, and so forth. The most interesting was the philosophical outlook that reduced everything to parents setting out to raise good kids, but not good adults. Yeah, there was this guy, the guy was of the view that not just university education, would not be facing any challenges if each successive generation of parents set out to raise good adults and not good kids. I found that closer to home because of the recent condemnation. Kenyan parents who birthed the Gen Z have received about the creeping but unstoppable Gen Z revolution for good governance in Kenya. These Kenyan parents have been condemned for the demands for good governance are what they are because the parents failed. Those in power, who the Gen Z are public liability that will increase public debt during the following year. You remember the budget is usually done in the previous year, then it's implemented in the coming year. So you should be able to look at your budget and see what has been borrowed and what has been, and whatever. But you have heard of it, but when once approved, it goes to the president. It goes to the president for a signature for it to become law. So the budget is for a signature for it to become law. So the budget is a law. It compels to, it must be obeyed. It's a law made by Parliament and ascended to by the President. By the President. But back that short-term borrowing. The other borrowing that you can make is borrowing to put up a building like this for government, to build a road, to build. The government cannot borrow to do immunization. It can borrow to build a hospital. It cannot borrow to pay doctors' salaries. So that's how the borrowing structure is. All those other current things must be paid by taxes. So, under the same Act, Section 2.1 of the Act, defines development expenditure as expenditure for the creation and renewal of assets. Nothing else can you borrow for. When you go to Section 1, I'm also trying to show what I've said is that short-term borrowing is borrowing by government by way of treasury bills, bank over to cover temporary cash shortfall funds. So I'm trying to lay out the law. Remember the Constitution says any money you borrow, a grant or a loan or anything you get as supervision of Parliament and the supervision of the control of budget. So they did that, you'll find that our debt, which used to grow almost as a plateau, takes on an angle like this, to where we are today at about 12 trillion shillings. So once that was amended, the government, you began hearing of things and borrowed money and kept that money outside the country. Over time, a total of USD 7.1 billion or 923 billion Kenya shillings at the current rate was borrowed over. The initial borrowing was 2 billion, about 260 billion Kenya shillings. And then over the few years, it has grown to 7.1 billion US dollars or 923 billion that we have today. And so there's a document called a summary statement of public debt for 2020-2023 financial year in foreign currency, which is available on the Treasury's, from the Treasury's Public Debt Management Office. The figures are as what you see there. You can see from 2014 coming down how the money was borrowed and where the money was borrowed and how it was supposed to be repaid. In all that, you don't see the Eurobond. There's no trace of the Eurobond in that record. Until you get this one, this is the Eurobond, the way it was borrowed over the years until it got to this point. But if you go through the Appropriations Act covering that period of time, you don't see this money approved by Parliament. This 923 billion Kenya shillings. You don't see it there. Your money has done. Or you don't see evidence that this money, after it was borrowed outside there, it ever came back to the municipality of Kenya, So other than breaking the law, when borrowing this money, there's no evidence that this money came back to Kenya. There's no evidence that this money came back to Kenya. And which I've put in my paper, we come and say, we are going to build the road at our cost. We give you the road and then we give you the budget. We give you the debt. So a lot of money is now being brought in that kind, whereby the donors are coming to do their things here. They don't give us the money, but they export their labor, they export everything, and we pay for them. It's like they're advancing money to us. I've demonstrated in that table. So I've also demonstrated that over the period of time, this is the kind of debt that we have borrowed from the. So when you look at the two tables I've just skimmed through, you will see that they demonstrate that from 2014, the 2015 budget was fully financed by loans and whatever, and there was absolutely no need for entangling Kenya in the Eurobond loan trap. Now, I've also shown how further money was recently borrowed last year, that the Eurobond loans wanted to pay a debt. We even as much as the law of Kenya said you cannot borrow to pay another debt, we did that last year. And we borrowed about 208 billion Kenya shillings, which has not come to this economy. And their justification is that because it was paying the debt in the Eurobond market, it was borrowed from the same market and used to pay the debt in the same market. But the fact of the matter is that an interrogation of our books links. So, also under the Public Finance Management Act, there's a requirement that the Cabinet Secretary publishes, every month publishes a document called. Now, if you go again and interrogate those statements and look at what we have as a people, you'll find that all this clamor for cutting down, downsizing universities, not funding universities, not doing, basically no services are being rendered in this country, is because there has been reckless borrowing under Uhuru Kenyatta, and reckless borrowing is continuing under William Ruto, in defiance of the law. And the main culprit of lending is the IMF. The IMF just comes and dumps money. If you look at all the IMF loans, none has been approved by Parliament. Which raises a moral question. I have decided that borrowing will come through the door. That's what we shall fund. And somebody brings in borrowing and claims to have borrowed money through the window. And you can't even see what that money was stolen. They even have produced bank statements, and JP Morgan. An interrogation of these bank statements, which some of us have done, recognize that these bank statements are forgeries. So when government publishes forgeries, what legitimacy does it have? And so, I've cut my paper short because of the time. But in my keynote address is a wake-up call to all of us not to accept nonsense. And if only Adam and Eve had said no to the devil, we would be in paradise. Thank you very much.
Where you should be going live. Thank you.
As today, but thank you so much, Honorable. Them, of course, comes from the very theme that we gave for this particular symposium, and saying that it's open-ended, but I think it was very deliberate. But he managed to also highlight some of the issues that surround that particular theme on issues in education, as far as the environment is concerned, climate change, artificial intelligence, and so on, just interrogating the theme in the first, opening. Now, but he also has been able to cause us to reflect personally reflect, for example, on the euphoria that was there then of the Gen Zs and some of the questions that come as far as parenting is concerned. And one of the takeaways I have is of the question about
raising good kids and not minding about good adults, which is something to trigger our minds about how we nurture and bring up children. But it wasn't negative, especially towards the end of his presentation. He has asked, were the Gen Zs justified to be able to ask? And they continue to ask questions of accountability. Are they justified to do so? And looking at it from another eye, we could also ask ourselves, is it possible that this particular rising up of the Gen Zs as a result of a loophole in one or two pressing questions, so that we get clarification, make it brief in case there is, so please. Yes, there's a question at the back. At the back, where you are at the back. Okay, make it brief. Clear.
Thank you very much. My question is, okay, I'm Dominic here. The keynote speaker has spoken about the lack of government funding university education, which makes university education to be a bit challenging currently. But also, these universities, or the head of the universities, or the vice chancellors, also have a hand to play in this that we are facing in university education. Because while increasing the university fee, I can remember one time, one vice chancellor gave a reason of increasing the university. How can the high schools pay, high scholars pay much more university students? That's when university students is cheaper compared to high school studies. So I think also not only the government, but also the head of these institutions, the vice chancellors, maybe of the public university institutions, they have a hand to play in the current situation that we're facing now. Thank you.
Okay, that's more of a comment that the speaker can give, his feedback. Any other question? Would you like to say something? Yes.
Yes, thank you. From where I stand, if you go to a constitution, it says that basic education is a right. And where you have got rights, you have got duty bearers. And the duty bearer is the government. I'm telling you, if we manage our finances well, this country has got enough money to provide taxpayer-funded education from whatever we call ECD to first degree university. Because one thing we need in this country is human resource. Professor Callistus Bima, the late, who came from Busia like me, used to say that there's a contradiction in the word that Kenya is underdeveloped and it has got a challenge in employment. How can that be? Being underdeveloped means that there's a lot of work that needs to be done. And how come our people are unemployed? So we need to simply rein in our public finances and be able to provide taxpayer-funded education to develop talent in this country. Kenya does not have a lot of things other than we are a country strategically placed for a service industry. We must develop the labor, we must develop the workforce to be able to work. And so it will not work when you get somebody being asked to pay for medical fields and it becomes very expensive. So the question of paying fees for me should not be there. We manage our accounts well and provide basic education as required by the Constitution. As for the vice chancellors,
I don't know about the private universities. I've tried to look at the public universities, and there's been a problem of taking people from lecture halls and giving them administrative work. We need to come up with a mechanism to train vice chancellors in public finance and administration. And if they can't do that, they allow other people to come and run the universities. Then they just go in the classroom and teach. They're the professionals who understand how to deal with money and administer public money. Come in, manage those universities, and you can do your work in the lecture halls. But if you go to administration, you must learn public finance and administration. If you look at our public universities are run in a very bad way. And that's why most of them are collapsing. Very few exceptions, the chancellors are doing a good job, but there's a lack in that area. So I think that with those few remarks, it should help. But I want to ask you to go and read chapter 12 of the Constitution. Even a simple thing like in Article 225 clause 1, that the Treasury and the Ministry of Finance should be separate, which I've been crying for, that we should do. What that will be, at the end of the day, the budget passed by Parliament, with Tenga tutafanya. Ask them kwa budget mmetenga. If it's not in the budget, it's nowhere. So that we can discipline this country and have finances managed properly. And I'm telling you, shall unlock the potential of this country. Kenya's economy, the budget of Kenya is bigger than the budget of all the other East African countries combined. But we are making a mess of it. No, it's a fact. We are making a mess of it. And professionalism that developed world handle their economies. Kenya is not at the level of being compared to other countries that are not in Europe, but are not in North America. We must aim there, that's where we belong, and we must compete in that league. So we cannot afford what is happening to be managed like a waste basket. We can't. So with those few remarks, I could say that university education for me should be taxpayer funded. Students should have boom so that they can learn how to socialize like rich people, so they can aspire to be rich in their lives. Because we need rich people. We need rich people in this country. There's too many poor people in this country. And to create rich people, we must create new wealth. And the people to create new wealth is you guys, young people. So we must develop you, we must give you boom. But when that boom sometimes went back and helped other kids in the family with nothing, the biggest resource Kenya has. Because we don't have oil. There's the more few diamonds of this and that. But the biggest resource we have is the human resource and the strategic location of Kenya. Where even science says the first man or the first human being lived here, according to science. So if we have got this special country, why is it not functioning? Today our GDP is, per capita is 1,900 USD. I was in Texas and I met the governor of Texas and the Secretary of State. And they were asking me, how do you people survive in this kind of thing? Don't you think you need to leave that land for other people can make use of it? We don't need those kind of questions. Because the money that we're supposed to be in this country is out there in Europe, is all over, so we can develop this country. And that's why the challenge with the Gen Z is, and you people are now the spearhead of the revolution that is happening. We map in the cells, and the cells are good enough for president.
Let's give a round of applause to our keynote speaker. And now that he has said it himself, the organizing committee, we were praying that he will be free today. So we are happy that you are free to be with us. And so let's give a systematic clap to our keynote speaker. Let's go 1, 2, and 3. Thank you very much, and God bless you. So we want to move on to our next guest speaker. And our first guest speaker is Professor Michael Ntabu, who is joining us online. I hope, Prof, you are ready. Professor Michael Ntabu is a philosopher. At the moment, he is the DVC academic of Rongo University. I have personally not interacted with Prof, but I know that he actually was an external examiner to one of my postgraduate students at Pwani University, and it's a pleasure that he's giving his address to this occasion. Prof, we'd request that you kindly please stick to the time, and if it can be less, then you'd have donated time to us so that we can catch up with the time we lost earlier.
very easy. Okay, sorry. He has made my work very, very easy, although that one was making it very difficult. He started off with what I would call astronomical increase in universities and the number of students since 1970 to 2023. In 1970, said we had only one public university, and now we have more than 80. So that is an astronomical increase. And also the numbers from 3,000 students to 573,776. Also seen in the quality of education. And he has highlighted the key factors in the quality of education. He started off with Socrates, who said that an educator should inspire rather than lecture. Self-learning is central. And also to encourage students to ask questions, which is a challenge to us professors or lecturers, whether we allow students to ask questions. And also another challenge is whether we too, as lecturers, we learn from students, because education is a mutual encounter between students and the lecturers. Then another key point is from Plato. Education is not about acquiring knowledge, but about cultivating virtue. I find that very important, even for what we heard from the keynote speaker. He was speaking about corruption, which is a lot here in Kenya. Many people are speaking about it, churches are speaking about it, and it is really a very, very crucial problem. Now, does our education cultivate virtue, the integrity? Education, integrity, like we need integrity in all that we do. Does it encourage it? And for us religious, we normally say that the fear of the Lord is the beginning of what? Of wisdom. Yes. So I think that's very, very important. It's not only to acquire intelligence, but also to acquire virtue. And that is very important for Kenya, and all this, especially in the light of this corruption we are hearing about. Aristotle advocates public education accessible to all citizens, and also to form good character. Education is a right, as Professor Ntabo has said. Now, the government has tried its best because, as I said, when you look at the figures of those doing university education have grown up astronomically. But now, have we taken care of the poor and marginalized? That each person has equal access to education. And I would like to point out one group of people and who have been marginalized, and these are the physically challenged people. Like when you take those who have speech impairment, those, what we call the blind. And it's good that Tangaza has taken a step in accommodating such a people, because as we know, they are marginalized by culture and marginalized by the state. And also, he mentions about a number of challenges. And this actually, what I picked up was that the commercialization of education, which is a critique of the institutions, because the institutions are supposed to promote virtue. But now, if they are just looking for money from people, making big profits from their institutions, then that is a kind of contradiction of what they are supposed to stand for. So those are some of the questions which we have to ask ourselves, especially Tangaza University. Do we actually have you commercialized? Because if we do that, actually, we are just contradicting what we should stand for. So that's what I can present for you, and I think it will give you some questions as you discuss. Thank you.
Thank you. All right, so ladies and gentlemen, we are going to our last guest speaker for the day. But before that, I would like to just bring to your attention the presence of Absa Bank in Tangaza University. And they have graciously this day offered and donated to this particular symposium 50 seats. So can we clap for Absa for the donation of the 50 seats to this symposium? We urge those of us who are present in Tangaza today, please visit their desk. Their tent is just right outside this building. Kindly visit their desk and listen to them and critically make a decision of what they would be convincing you about, all right? So our next guest speaker is Dr. Patrick Dikir, who is a senior lecturer at the Technical University of Kenya. Yes, he is my colleague, a philosopher, and since the previous speakers have been urging us to contemplate on criticality, creativity, he's actually the one coordinating a common university course at the moment called Critical and Creative Thinking. So it's my pleasure to invite you, Dr. Dikir, to give your address to this symposium. Give a round of applause to him as he comes over.
Thank you, Dr. Thank you, Dr. Buya. I have a challenge. I'm speaking after the senator has spoken, and after my good friend, who was my classmate, has also spoken. But anyhow, let me first thank the conference organizers, the leadership of Tangaza, and all of us. For being here. I feel very delighted to be part of this gathering. The gathering is emerging to one where we'll be having very stimulating and very honest conversation around the status and the future of university in Africa and beyond. And this conference could not have come at a better time. Today, I'm reminded it's the World Day of Education. World Day of Education. And conference organizers picked education as one of the theme of this conference. I don't know whether there was a coincidence. Someone must have had some inside information about how the world is expected to be celebrating this particular day. But anyhow, I am happy to be here. My paper is titled Expansion of Public Universities in Kenya. I'm looking at the associated optimism, dashed hopes, and major challenges for 21st century universities. That's the theme of my paper. See if I can navigate. Sure, good. I'm using Microsoft, and I'm used to a different kind of system here. My position in this paper is very simple. Main goal. The main purpose of this paper is very simple. We are here arguing that the fundamental purpose and mission of university education has primarily, but not only, imperiled by a politically driven expansion of public universities. And I'm focused on this idea of politics getting into the space of education. I know Senator Mutada has talked quite a lot about the physical indiscipline that we see, the planning challenges that we have encountered, issues of integrity, and matters dealing with servant leadership, isn't it? So I'll just focus on this notion of politicians getting into the space of education and insisting that they have to take charge of this education system. But this is where the mess is. This is where we are. I'm saying that there have been a lot of benefits this far that we have gotten from this expansion. But we have also had major challenges. And these challenges are what we are saying, that the expansion has led what someone, I think it's an associate professor in some university in the US, Arizona, called Michael Hudson, says crapification of university education. Crapification. And we are saying this education now is just crappy. We are not getting value for our money. We're not getting value for our money. We are giving students the short end of the stick. Short end of the stick. And if we are not very careful, at some point this country will not have any person to turn to. Any person to turn to. I was listening to, I think, a conversation that Babu Owino, Senator Honorable Babu Owino, was having with one of the reporters. And he was asked questions regarding about what is happening in this country, particularly with the Gen Z movement. And he had a very honest response, very profound, very profound. And he said, and I think I want just to quote him verbatim, he says that when intelligent people go mute, foolish people multiply. But I think Senator Mutada has reversed that a little bit. And he's telling us that when good people, when people of integrity keep quiet, what happens? Evils multiply. So I think we need to speak up a little bit up. That there is something that is happening in this space, and it is not edifying. It is not pleasant at all. The focus of the paper is between 1963 to the present. And there are specific things that I'm looking at in this paper. I first provide an abbreviated history of how this expansion has happened. That history allows me then to provide the context in which that we witness today on our campuses. I look at the optimism, the challenges, and discuss some of the major challenges that universities are having. Challenges that universities in the 21st century will be faced on. I think I'll skip the history part because Tampo has spoken quite well around that. The challenges have been highlighted. The challenges have been highlighted very well. I would like to make this short because basically my thesis is very simple. That there is expansion, that expansion, there are benefits, and you can enumerate those benefits. And there are many challenges. Those challenges you can enumerate. So basically what I'm saying here is that the expansion has imperiled our institutions. They have imperiled our institution. They are changing the purpose and the mission of university education. And I'm saying that today we witness a revised university character. And that character speaks to a number of things. One is the state disinvestment in public university education. The state has basically withdrawn from this space. And if they are still there, their presence is very minimal. We are not hearing it. We are not feeling it as a people. And there is need at least to begin insisting that the state must step up and rescue our universities that are on the verge of collapsing. There is a pervasive fog of tribalism on our campus. You can't wish away that. But I'm focused mostly on public universities. I do not know about what's going on in private universities, but in public universities I've been there for a long time now, I think from the 90s, and I have seen it myself. I've seen it myself, where people get to this space not because they have merited those positions, but because they have political affiliations. Yeah? Either they have that direct affiliation to the political class, or they have that affiliation through proxy to the political class, and that's how they get in. And they end up then managing institutions like their small homes, where they will decide whom to appoint to which position, and when they do so, those who are in those positions cannot speak truth to power, especially the VCs, partly because they're indebted to them. So when there is evil, they will turn an eye. They will never speak up. There is also an attempt, I think, to intermingle the business model with the academic culture. And that is where I think our problem also lies. And this is what I'm calling the corporatization of university education. And this corporatization began, I think, with President Kibaki, when he insisted that universities need to begin generating their own income. And that is where we began to see state beginning to retreat from the education space. So that corporatization of university has had very disastrous consequences. I'm also looking at the explosion and prioritization of research on trivial subjects at the expense of funding basic research. Can I get some more, please? If you look at the kind of research that is being done in these public universities, it's pathetic. It's pathetic. We are just looking at what you call applied research. So people have come up with certain findings. Our work is just to see whether what they have said can be domesticated for our own purpose, isn't it? Can be domesticated for our own purpose. We are not putting money in basic research. And you know, basic research is where a lot of creativity, a lot of thinking, a lot of innovation comes from. We are not doing that. Partly because we are only concerned with application. There's a whole body, it's called the National Research Fund. It's an institution that the government has, I think, started, and was supposed to be helping in research aspects of this country. But if you look at what they have been funding since this organization was started, much of it is just applied research, not basic research. And that is where our problem is as a country. We are not moving in tandem with the trends in the world, especially research trends. A lot of governments are putting money in basic research where people experiment, people fail, and people are able at least to find certain things that sometimes are taken for granted, isn't it? Universities, I would like to suggest here, are institutions where people should be taught how to fail dangerously, or to think dangerously and to fail. If we are just succeeding, then we are not doing the right thing. The crapification also speaks to the idea, especially in public universities, where there is a steady growth of what some persons refers to as a lumpen professoriate. we are talking about enlisting adjunct lecturers to teach, partly because the government has refused to release money and engage part-time staff, full-time staff. And they are doing so as a way of cutting costs and creating quote-unquote efficiencies in the system. But in the process, you end up having people who are moving from one university to another. They don't have time with the students. That is one. Secondly, they are not investing their time and their energy in that institution, because what matters to them is putting food on the table for their families. So that steady growth of enlisting adjunct lecturers is not being fruitful. It's not bearing the right fruits. Thank you. There are quite a number of things that are also happening in our universities. A lot of the little resources that are there are being directed to what we call the administrative university. The administrative university has so many employees, and they are employed because they have to crunch data. That data is needed for purposes of ranking. So instead of remaining truthful to the mandate of the university, which is academic work, what is happening is we have administrators who are even sometimes professors. And professors ideally are supposed to be in class. They are not supposed to be doing administrative work. So we are in a way then impoverishing our institution, partly because we are paying too much attention to the academic, to the administrative part of the university, and giving a blind eye to the academic part of the university. And if you walk into some of the offices on campus, you'd see that administrative staff would be living in very posh, so quote-unquote offices that are air-conditioned with a TV and so forth, instead of putting that money where it should be. In short, what I'm saying here is that the ascendant character that we are saying, the character that is ascending in these public universities is unsustainable. It's unsustainable. And what is needed is a holistic retool, a change in lots of ways. If Kenya's public universities were, one, to maintain their societal relevance, especially in this age
second or in other part concerning the integrity of our education. Like, the most important thing to underline here is the question comes to us: what can we do, we as individuals? The rain is beating us. We have faced those challenges, and we are continue facing. And you have stated those challenges here. I won't go over them, but I would only comment on 2 or 3. You know, the pervasive form of tribalism, first of all. The second one, the withdrawal of funds, you know, in the academic fields. So at the end of the day, as we can ask ourselves, what can we do? What can we, you know, advance in order to challenge all these things? You know, we read different books, and whenever we read, somebody can borrow a leaf of 1 or 2 from 1 or 2 philosophers or great thinkers or speakers. There was an Italian philosopher, Antonio Rosmini. He wrote especially on education. I know many are laughing, isn't it? No, he wrote one of the greatest books on Christian education. And here he says, Rosmini himself, he distinguished between human nature and human person. There is those distinctions between the two. And education should deal with both the nature of human person and the nature of a person. When we talk that education should deal with the nature of a human person, what do we know? What do we mean? It is to try and promote those natural, you know, talents that a person has. But when we talk of the human person, now here it deals with the intellectual will of someone. So, as much as Professor Patrick has already talked to us, you know, about the interference of politicians in the field, you know, of education, the question comes down to us, me and you, as a philosopher, as a learner, what can we progress in order to try and fulfill our aim? That is to promote education, integrity, and sincerity. And each and every education, just as you have said, should try and direct us towards integrity, so that at the end of the day, just as Senator said very well, we need always to be sincere to ourselves. The last speaker before Patrick did talk about Socrates. Socrates did tell us one thing, that man, know thyself. We can cry that politicians are really, you know, taking us in the wrong direction. Things are not moving in the right place. But what am I doing, me, here, and now? And the question starts with me and you. Don't look at the lecturer, don't look at the politician, don't look at the system, but we should look at our own self, because change starts with me. So thank you very much, Daktari. And for us here, as we continue with our progress towards education, let us always aim for the very best integrity and transparency in everything we do. Thank you very much.
So that ends the last part of our session. As far as speakers are concerned, I would just like to bring to your attention